Mamma mia, it's a pizza. Welcome back to some Dracula 3. Last time on Dracula 3, Piccolo and Frieza got destroyed a mountain. No, we have finished, I believe, with what we were expected to do in this location. And we were sent back to Vladiviste. This game reminds me a lot of Siberia. Which you haven't played that series, it's really good. It has an extremely unique style. Is it Florian? Oh, I think I thought it was Florian. No, it's a dream of your wife or something. It has this intensely confident sense of style. It knows exactly what its aesthetic are, what it wants to make you feel and see and hear. What its aesthetics is, what its aesthetic is, what its aesthetics are. Either one. And it's also like steeped in like, Eastern Bloc culture and things like that. Luana, what do you know about vampires? Certain things, but I also know the virtues of silence. We've already had this conversation. Alright, we're back here. I'm not entirely sure what... Oh, 1 second. Alarm clock just went off. That's my... it's early in the morning. I woke up like 40 minutes early. How about consulting the... No. Request the opinion of a doctor or scientist. Okay. So I guess we gotta go see Florian. I've got to see Janos and Stefan. They'll surely be curious to know how my conversation with Professor Boxow went. But first, let's stop at the inn to see if I've received any mail. Okay. This is much more on rails than Siberia is, though. I was thinking about that word search puzzle last night, and it really occurs to me that was actually a very terrible puzzle. Stefan Luca is in the parlor. Let's go greet him. Like, obviously a word search was something a child could do. But it becomes an entirely other beast when you don't tell them what the words they're looking for are. If you just hand someone a 40 by 40 grid of letters and say, find the word that I'm thinking of, then it becomes like this massive mess, because like the only tool you have to identify it is like English rules, a consonant or diphthong followed by a vowel or vowel diphthong, just alternating. And it's made even more complicated by the fact that apparently the word we were looking for... Hello, Father Arno. I've just come from Budapest. I saw Professor Boxow, and I have to confess that she shares some of your ideas. You'll see. Are you ready to help me at least? When do we leave for Turkey? I don't think that my superiors would appreciate that initiative. However, I promise that I'll think about it. Very well. I'll have to venture onto the path of the dragon alone. I can see that I haven't convinced you, Father. I'd like to still ask you something. Sometimes I'm scared, scared of the powers I'm challenging. Of course, I do have my medal of St. Dimitri, but I'd also like your blessing. You should know that, at our hostess' request, I've already blessed the room you're sleeping in. Oh, that's reassuring. Thank you, Father. But yeah, like the prompt we're given is that we're looking for a name, which name is like, for all intents and purposes, aren't even real words. Like I could I can have whatever ridiculous name I want that doesn't follow normal English rules. And so like I was just paralyzed. Like what? I actually did. I looked through the episode again, and I actually did find it. But it had a J in the middle, which, if you know anything about English, basically never happens. J is already one of the most rare letters in English, and it's even like an extra order of magnitude more rare for J to appear in the middle of a word. And the word that ended up being correct was Sarajevo with a J in the middle. Which, yeah. Uh huh. I had no chance. Hmm. The cross slipped. Hmm. I wonder why the cross keeps slipping. Oh, and then the date thing. Holy crap! Like you say that there's a number in this word search, and you don't think Roman numerals. You think that it would be like 1940 or something. It was like a 40 by 40 grid, so there was enough space for a number like that to appear. But the actual answer ended up being like a package from the Vatican. Must be Vlad Tepes' biography that Monsieur Briganti sent me. Geschichte Dracula Wade. It is in German. It is in German, which is, nothing like spiritually wrong with that, but. Oh, here, we have a translations. A prisoner of the Turks, Vlad Tepes regained his freedom and rose to the throne. That same year, he ordered the execution of the Voivode Vladislav, who had been the ruler of the land before him. Moreover, he had people of all walks of life, young and old, men and women, impaled on a stake, and they agitated their legs and arms and convulsed like frogs. Next, why is this a different interface than normal? There's only one page. Weird. I chose to do a different interface. In addition, he poisoned the water sources throughout the country, and he had women, men, and children brought in and impaled, and they numbered 200. Also, he invited all the poor of the land to partake in a big feast, and when they had finished eating, he had them all burnt inside a church. Also, he had a monk and the donkey on which he was riding seized and had them both impaled. Okay, I mean, that seems like it would have included, but apparently the monk wasn't poor, or else he would have been killed earlier. Also, he made a mean omelet. He had men buried up to their waists and riddled with arrows. Others were roasted, others skinned alive. Turkish ambassadors greeted him without taking off their headgear, saying, "This is our custom." "Very well," he answered, "I will reinforce you in your custom." And they thanked him, but he had them seized and their headgear hammered onto their heads with large iron nails. This is how he reinforced their custom. Cool. So the guy liked violence. Hold on, everyone. One second, everyone. My mic is drooping. Gotta tighten the bolt again. There we go. Droopy. All right, we're gonna show some classic violence. Just a little violence, Yeah. Best way to wake up a little bit. Just a little genocidal violence. Ozana's not here, which is interesting. So I do need to recruit a doctor. Come in, it's open. I went to Budapest. How lucky you are. It's a very beautiful city. You know what I learned? Your favorite novel, Dracula, seems to be based on a true story. Really? That's fascinating. I suppose so, but my work is to show that everything can be explained with no mystery being involved. So then the Vatican doesn't want to believe in vampires. What a lack of imagination. Okay. Apparently she is not the doctor who I need to recruit. Doggo! Huh. Talk to Janus Peckmaster. Okay. We can go talk to Janus. That's fine. This must be Luana's thing. Peckmaster, how you doing? Hello, Father Arnaud. Are you back from Budapest? Yes, I spoke at length with Professor Boxau. She takes the testimony about vampirism very seriously. Age makes my academics lose touch with reality. But tell me, did she show you the manuscript about Vlad Tepes? It wasn't necessary. I was able to procure a printed edition, which is more than enough for my needs. Professor Boxau apprised me of the existence of the Thule Society, a cult that seeks immortality. You'll know I'm not very interested in esotericism. Wow, sick burn. Like, what is that? I'm not interested in esotericism? You know what that means? If you're unfamiliar with the meaning of esoterics, what he's saying is that he's not interested in really specific information. He's like, whoa, that is just way too narrow a field of view for me, and I really appreciate it if you removed some of the specific information from your query and stop talking to me like I'm a member of the patriarchy. What do you think of all the acts of cruelty that are ascribed to Vlad Tepes? Vlad was reproached for everything, even having abjured orthodoxy to convert to Catholicism. But his life is only known through the writings of his enemies. You have to read between the lines. Like, in between, among other things, it is said that one Easter he treacherously seized all of the noblemen in his country. Then add that he made them labor naked on the enlargement of his castle till they died of exhaustion. But they omit to point out that these noblemen had betrayed all the previous kings. They were leading the country to its ruin through constant plotting. By eliminating them, Vlad was acting for the best. That's one view of things. Okay, I guess that's it. So we chatted with the Peckmaster. I don't know how to get the perspective of a doctor or... Do I have the phone number of one that I just don't remember? Number, please. Oh, Kruger, right.
This is Professor Henrik von Kruger.
This is, Professor. I'm good. Oh my god, I keep switching this up.
How can I help you?
Well, it's rather delicate to explain. You should know, first of all, that I belong to the Holy Congregation of Rites. I came to Vladiviste to investigate the life of Martha Caligula.
Would you like me to talk to you about her? She was a remarkable woman.
To tell the truth, my mission has changed. For reasons that'll be a little long to explain, I now have to investigate vampires.
Vampires? Don't tell me the Catholic Church has started to believe in vampires.
On the contrary, my superiors want to combat this belief. They're alarmed to see how resistant it is still in the 20th century.
Ah, very good. As if it's to fight superstition, you can count on my assistance.
It'll be invaluable to me, for I need the viewpoint of a scientist on the vampire myth.
Do you realize that this is the very subject of the research I was carrying out with Dr. Caligula? We discovered a disease, the P syndrome, whose symptoms are quite similar to those attributed to the victims of vampires. The legend is based on specific medical facts.
Tell me about your collaboration with Martha Caligula.
Dr. Caligula contacted me for a while she was caring for the patient named Marescu. His granulocytes showed a very curious anomaly. She sent me a blood sample by carrier pigeon, and we worked on the case together. The result of our collaboration was the discovery of the P syndrome. Afterwards, we had to specify the cause of the disease and perfect a serum. For that, I needed statistical data. I asked Dr. Caligula to take a large number of samples from the population of Vladiviste. Unfortunately, the war interrupted our research.
Did you pick up again with Martha Caligula after the end of the hostilities?
It wasn't possible for me to contact her immediately. When I was finally able to phone the dispensary, she was dead. It was Dr. Fulescu there.
Do you think Dr. Fulescu had competence needed to continue Martha Caligula's work?
Of course! I've been insisting for some time now that she do so. As soon as she sends me the results I'm missing, I'll be able to find a serum that can cure it, possibly.
According to you, vampires have no objective existence?
I just say that they're not supernatural creatures, but they certainly do exist mentally. They do exist mentally ill people who are bloodthirsty. Look at Countess Erzsébet Bathory, who, in the 16th century, bled to death hundreds of young girls before she was walled up alive in her Carpathian castle. In addition, as I mentioned, patients afflicted with P syndrome suffer from very odd physical and psychological disorders that make them resemble the victims of vampires.
One thing I will say about the dialogue in this game is that it's not paced properly for taking breaths. They just keep talking. I realize there's no voice acting on, but I can tell based off of the gaps in the paragraphs that it's just, it's... My name is Trek. I live in New York. Then it just instantly jumps to the next sentence without taking a proper breath. It's fine, but it is a little harsh on my voice. You might notice that I sometimes need a second. Alright. Certain of Dr. Caligula's patients behaved in a certain way, a very strange way.
What did those patients do?
They went out alone in the night, as if they were answering a call. They ripped off the garlic necklaces the doctors had placed on them.
Somnambulism, an allergy to garlic. Those signs are most likely associated with P syndrome, as are pallor, drawn features, anemia, and other symptoms we haven't yet discovered.
Have you read Dracula by Bram Stoker?
Unfortunately, yes. What an abominable novel.
You're too severe. That's not what Oscar Wilde thought.
I won't tell you what I think of Oscar Wilde. I will limit myself to the novel. It's a tissue. Let's see, Stoker confirms that those that die of vampires become one in turn. At that rate, vampirism should spread like an epidemic, with a growth rate faster than Fibonacci's famous immortal sequence. In a first stage, all of mankind would be vampirized, and then in a second, the vampires would also disappear, not having any victims left to feed on. Stoker's hypothesis is therefore perfectly absurd. No species can live without regulation.
I'm interviewing him on his. Okay, like it's Father Morio. It is okay that he didn't like Bram Stoker's Dracula. You haven't even read it. Why are you quizzing him on it?
Apparently, you didn't really appreciate Bram Stoker's work. Stoker considers himself a historian and a scientist, but he's just an oddball. His novel is a collection of implausibilities. Take the character of Lucy. That woman he keeps saying is getting better until she just dies. A victim of Dracula, she's treated by transfusion. Blindly, of course, because at the time we knew nothing of blood types. In those conditions, what are the chances the patient will accept the donor's blood? About 1 in 3, if my recollections are good. Nonetheless, in desperate cases, it's worth the trouble to try. Certainly, but the good Professor Van Helsing, who is always described as a genius, repeated the operation with 4 different donors. The chances of survival for that poor Lucy then fell to less than 2%. It's probably the transfusions that killed her, and not Dracula. Let's get back to Van Helsing. Supposedly an expert on vampires, he teaches us that they can read minds and change into bats. However, he's not worried about finding one that is the latter at the window of the room in which he's holding a meeting. And then he seems so surprised that Dracula knows his plans. The naivete of that character is irritating. This is actually someone's review of the movie, or book. I mean, like this is a YouTube comment. He's like, did you know? But the internal consistency just wasn't good enough for me. Like, Van Helsing knew that Dracula could turn into a bat, but he didn't even look out the window to see if there were bats watching over him, and that just doesn't make any sense for a character who knew that. Did you know that the director Murnau is going to shoot a movie based off of the Dracula novel? I know the work of Murnau. They call it expressionism. But for me, those morbid fantasies have much more to do with pathology. Holy crap. It just keeps going. Strange. Sometimes I have the feeling that noises and odors are accentuated. That hypersensitivity might be due to fatigue, or to nervous tension. Let's see, you don't have any allergies? No, none at all. Good. I don't think there's anything to worry about, but call me if you notice any allergic reactions. Professor Boxau spoke to me of waves of vampirism observed between the 14th and 18th centuries. How would you explain them? I noticed they coincided with epidemics of the plague. Masses of people died. They were buried quickly, sometimes when they were still alive. They tore at themselves while trying to escape their coffins. If they were disinterred, their bodies were found bloodied. In short, they made perfect vampires. Cases of premature burial like that aren't uncommon, you know, even today. A colleague told me of a pregnant woman who gave birth in her coffin. The poor lady died of suffocation with her child. Phew, that is... I have to say being buried alive is one of the worst ways to go. Ugh. Ugh. What have you got to say about those bodies that are found fresh and rosy-cheeked months after burial? Decomposition is not a systematic phenomenon. If the laws of nature permit 1 out of 100 bodies to deteriorate more slowly than others, take the time to open every grave in a cemetery, and you'll always find one pseudo-vampire. Anyway, why associate the absence of decomposition with vampirism? The phenomenon has been observed with many holy figures. For example, Francis Xavier and Teresa of Avila, to cite just 2. Explore the archives and you'll see many examples of odd things. According to Professor Boxau, suspect corpses are often bloated, others continuously sweated blood. Decomposition produces gases that can give the cadaver a swollen aspect. The liquid that oozes from corpses is an odd phenomenon, but did you know that the venerable Lebanese monk Charbel Makhlouf has sweat liters of blood since his death? Does that mean that this holy man is a vampire? Macloof. Have you heard of the Path of the Dragon? What a pompous name. What's it refer to? An initiatory journey to having to do with vampirism. Professor Irene Boxow takes it very seriously. Himmel, esotericism, secret societies, initiatory journeys. What an old-fashioned hodgepodge, but even the greatest minds sometimes go astray. Professor Boxow spoke to me of the secret Thule Society. Himmel, esotericism, secret society. Okay, he's just saying it again. Professor Irina Boxow revealed certain very odd prophecies to me. Prophecies? What exactly did the professor say? Great evil will come forth in Germany in some 15 years. There will be massacres and a new world war. What is the source of these prophecies? The hidden apocalypse of Thomas the Greater. Ah, the Kabbalist version. Of course, I also amused myself when I was a student with associations of letters. By virtue of the law of numbers, once in a while you obviously have to find a combination that makes sense. You think that all of this is just coincidence, and that book can be made to say just about anything. Wait a minute, I'll go get my copy. Good, let's open it at random to page 3, for example, and look for significant words. You'll see that with a little bit of luck, we're going to discover some wonders. This is amazing. Hey, look, it didn't take me long to find something. I see other words, but I'll leave you the pleasure of the hunt. Yeah, he's literally talking about why this is a terrible puzzle idea. Oriensula Imperium. I gotta find whatever I want. Gent. So vertical or diagonal, not horizontal. So is that just a rule with this word search? It always has to be vertical or diagonal? Okay. S to do. Guide. Hmm. Bosoms. Test it. Let's see what we got. Temper. I'm looking at up and to the right. Yama. Voodoo Knighted. Ism. Not. Huh. Sopen. X.
XS, probably nothing there. IXS, nothing. UUS, MMN, UUE, STI. Let's see what we got here. No, that's not a thing. Mauser, Maypot. Nothing in the diagonal upright. What about diagonal down right? So let's start here. Nope. Nah. 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 All right, let's can do uprights here. Nah. Not that one. Nah. Nah. Oh my god. Not that one. This one. Nah. 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 I didn't see any words there either. So it's got to be a vertical. What we got? Heavensploy? Tonner? What the heck? Okay, what is going on? Show them to me. Yes. Are you serious? Oh my god. I hate these puzzles. This is terrible. There weren't. For example, I could posit that 1945 would be the dawn of a new empire, and that its advent would be accompanied by lightning bolts zigzagging through the sky. Or also, that in 1945 heaven's fire will fall upon the empire of the rising sun, or any old ingenious absurdity that I can dream up. The word was Caelesta Cygnus. Caelesta Cygnus. Are we... Alright, this game is amusing but sterile. Caelesta Cygnus Mix. Oh my god, Roman numeral and Caelesta Cygnus. Oh, okay. Deep breaths, deep breaths. This is an actively bad puzzle. If I can shed on any light of them for you, here it is. In Vladivisti, I met a gypsy who plays both cards and dice. Could you describe the games to me? Yeah, sure. Methodically list every case, and you will see that the best strategy is to bet on the visible color. That choice gives you 2 out of 3 chances to win. Your gypsy doesn't cheat, but she knows the probability. That's how she wins against those who don't know it. The game is a probabilistic version of the classic rock, paper, scissors. It's clear that the white die has 4 chances out of 6 to beat the yellow one. We could even know that, in general, yellow beats black and black beats white. Yeah, I did determine that. To improve your chances, let your gypsy choose first, and then take the die that beats hers. Tell me, could I ask you a personal question? Listening to your voice, I have the feeling that you're a little tense. Yes, I'm not sleeping well. Nothing else. You can confide in me. I'm a doctor, you know. Well, I sometimes get the feeling I'm being spied upon. I'm sure it's only an impression, but it's becoming an obsession. Father Arno, you are sensitive and susceptible, like our late lamented Dr. Caligaro. These are qualities, but they make you vulnerable. Above all, don't let your imagination govern you. That's good advice. Thank you. I'll try to follow it. Goodbye, Professor. Goodbye, Father. All right, the time has come to call Monsignor Briganti to tell him my investigation is nearing its end. I hope he's in his office. We'll take a break here. I will see you all in the next one. That puzzle is really bad. I hope that... I did notice that the book said 3 out of 7, so there's probably 4 more of them to go. Luckily, they're all skippable. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Peace!